Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, Fabulites. I have some notes on the news feed. This is the rest of the stuff left over from this morning. Because I've been watching The Handmaid's Tale. I watched 2 episodes and I loaded up the reviews. I love that show. That show is very well done. But I think I told y'all I got book club on Sunday for The Handmaid's Tale. So I'm going to keep saying it till I do it. But my goal is to finish or get to episode 10. I think that's the end of the series, but I'm gonna finish it before Sunday at 6:30. So that's the plan. And really, quiet as it's kept, I want to get caught up with American Gods because I don't like being behind, because I think I want to watch Claws. I hate starting off behind on stuff, but you know, we gotta make it fit, get in where it fit in. We gotta make it work. But anyway, notes from the news feed. I think I always want to say nose feed. Maybe it's just like nosy. Or maybe it's like notes from the news feed. I'm so newsy. Okay, American schools. This is coming off of Business Insider. American schools have stopped crowning valedictorians so that other students don't feel pressured. Wow, that's deep. But I think that what I saw in the thing is that instead of ranking students like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way down to, you student number 692, they're ranking them like, if your GPA is 4.0, you're in the valedictorians, category. If your GPA is from here to here, you're in the salutatorian category. If your GPA is from here to here, you're in the honors. So it's not just one valedictorian, but so anyway, I just thought that was interesting. A United Airlines employee brutally shoved an elderly passenger. I think this was something that had happened a while ago, but this passenger had it on film. And with all of the mess and confusion that's going on with these airlines, or that's getting a lot of publicity now, I guess they decided this is the right climate. I could probably find a jury that would help me get some money for the bull that happened to me, or we don't know. But anyway, I didn't really look at the story. I think I did look at it because I knew that it was not something that just happened the other day. Black women race to highlight the color purple after Elizabeth Banks ignored it in her critique of Steven Spielberg. See, Miss Ladybug, who I don't even know who she is, which that don't mean nothing, right? It's like, I don't even know who she is, but I don't. She don't know who I am either, so the feeling is mutual. But she said, Steven Spielberg, I don't want to call you out, or I do want to call you out, or I have to call you out. She's receiving some award or something that the heated seat is on. She's receiving something she's speaking at, Women in Film or whatever, and she said, but you've never had a female lead in any of your films. And people are like, have you ever seen The Color Purple with black Whoopi Goldberg, woman, and black Oprah Winfrey, woman, and Avery Brooks? It's black woman. So anyway, I don't know, but I thought also of E.T. because the little girl who's a grown woman now, what was her name? Dang, she does the Charlie's Angel shtick. What's her name? She was in E.T. But anyway, I don't know much about Steven Spielberg's work as Steven Spielberg, because when I read that, I'm like, oh yeah, The Color Purple. I had forgotten that he had been involved with that. Okay, riot breaks out in South Carolina prison over cell phone. 2 correctional officers hurt. You know what I've been noticing? That it's been a lot of stuff going on in prisons these days. And I think I used to feel one way about it, and now I'm starting to feel another way about it. Before I read The New Jim Crow, I can't remember who the author is, but when that book came, I read that book probably a year or so before 13 came out. But after I read that book, it like shifted my paradigm. And I guess before I was thinking of people in jail as like criminals, even though I knew a lot of black people and other people probably were wrongly incarcerated. And I knew people, but reading that book, it was like a total shift in my perspective on things. And I started to see the jail system as a continuation of the system of enslavement in a way that I hadn't before. Even when we talk about, the school to prison pipeline, and, but it was like that book just sort of bridged the gap between slavery and today in a very clear and coherent and compelling way. And so now when I hear stories or about prison riots, and also I heard a thing at the Charles H. Wright Museum on the Attica uprising, and that uprising was like in the 60s, late 60s, maybe 67, I'm thinking. But when I heard that story from the research that was done on that, it's like the propaganda of what happened was very different from what actually happened. And they painted the prisoners as animals, but the prisoners were human beings who wanted to be treated as human beings, and were at, so anyway, the new Jim Crow, just different things have kind of shifted my perspective. So now when I see things about prison riots or prison uprisings or whatever, I feel empathy, and I think about enslaved Black people, and probably the propaganda that was out here about, us, and the fact that, so anyway, yeah. So that's what I be. And then when I think about people escaping, and I'm like, is there some underground railroad now in place now to, help people? I mean, I know there's stuff like the Innocence Project, but is that really an underground railroad? But anyway, I just have a whole different take on stuff now. Y'all, it's been a lot of classic cars coming down the street. I don't know if I saw any today, but like 2 days in a row I saw them, and I think it had something to do with the Ford house over there. But anyway, that's a whole nother thing. Okay, Hawaii just became the first U.S. state to pass a bill supporting basic income. Are y'all hip to this whole basic income thing? In other parts of the world, maybe a couple other parts of the world, I think somewhere in Canada they're doing an experiment too, where everybody gets a baseline income. So $800 a month, $1,000 a month, $500 a month, whether you're on public assistance, everybody gets basic income. And throughout the world, the couple of articles that I've read about it seems like there are some good results. But when I clicked on the article, it seemed like the article, now I just skimmed it, but it seemed like the article was saying that Hawaii was considering it, or it had been presented. I didn't know if the decision had been made. So I was a little confused by that. But anyway, and also in funding for nonprofit organizations, there's this whole movement, instead of people having to apply for a grant for this, or, get money through this NGO or nonprofit organization for that, they're just giving people money and letting people decide how they can best use the money. And that is proving to be very effective in NGOs throughout the world, I'm hearing, just reading. Mississippi man, I had heard about this story a couple weeks ago, or maybe last week, I don't know. Mississippi man found decapitated was alive when his head was cut off. And when I read the article, it said that, or I think they said that the way that he was stabbed, head cut off, whatever happened to him, in addition to his head being cut off, there was something else that happened to him, and this is like a signature of some gang. And I don't know nothing about, I was in Mississippi, I don't know nothing about this gang, but anyway, cutting off people's heads, and then they left it on the porch, so it's kind of like a sign, like, just like, terrorists do. It's terrible to see somebody's dead head. That is terrorism. Emotional court scene as video of Black man's shooting is shown. And I think I clicked on that, but I don't remember the story. But check out my Twitter feed. I might have already sent this to my Twitter feed or my Facebook feed. And I'm hoping that later on today I'll have an opportunity to send some more stuff to my blog, Be Fabulous You on WordPress. 2 months after announcing scholarship, Beyonce names 2017-2018 formation scholars. And when I mentioned that to my mother, she like, didn't I hear a couple of days ago that Beyonce had her baby? I mean, we heard a rumor, the babies, but we heard a rumor, but we haven't heard anything. And I haven't heard anything. Have you heard anything? Look, we don't want to hear nothing about no scholarship and no education. Where them babies? I'm just joking. I was excited to hear about that. London fire, one family's despair at tower loss. That whole story is just, every time I see footage of it, especially when you hear that people have been talking about, there aren't fire alarms, or talking about fire safety issues in advance of this event. And someone had even said something to the effect of, the only way that we're going to get any attention on this is if people die in a fire. So, and then it seemed like the people I see are brown. So I'm assuming it's poor people, black people, brown people, you know, and whoever owned the building was like, I don't give a care. And then they done added something to the building here recently, I guess to make it look cosmetically better, but it made it more unsafe. So, you know, just peace, peace, peace out into the world. May we all be, you know, at peace, human and non-human, near and far. Look, little Bella, you're peaceful, Bella. You know, just peace, peace, peace. Trump agenda at center of low-key meeting between black leaders and Senate Democrats. And I asked my mother, because, you know, she keep more up on the news than I do. Did you hear anything about it? She like, no. And she like, that's probably good. Maybe they got something done. So it seems like it was the NAACP type, Al Sharpton types meeting with the head of the Democrats in Senate and Congress, or I don't know. Someone just paid over $600,000 for a parking spot in Hong Kong. Y'all, I remember when I lived in New York how expensive it was to park, and how parking spots were basically, you could buy a home in Detroit for the price of a parking spot in New York. Michigan man convicted on single hair, freed after 41 years. They had the evidence they had on him was one piece of hair, a strand of hair, and they convicted him. They put him in jail for 41 years, and now he's free. So, okay. How much money some of the biggest companies on the planet make per employee. I just thought that was interesting. I haven't read it yet. WIF Crystal Award winner, WIF, Women in Film, Elizabeth Banks apologizes for calling out Steven Spielberg over lack of female leads. Muslim leader and U.S. citizen banned from re-entering the States after trip to Kenya. I think he was going to get his wife or something like that. It's coming off of Atlanta Black Star, so I'm assuming he's of the browner persuasion. Colombian nurse survives fall after landing on doctor who dies. So when I read the article, they didn't know how the nurse had come to be fallen out of the window of the hospital, and I think both the nurse and the doctor were women. So like, speak of freak accidents, I mean, that is just really like crazy. You know, for somebody just be falling, you walk into the cafeteria at work and somebody fall out the window and now you dead. So, you know, rest in peace. That's what I got, Fabulites. Yay! Look, now I need to see what's happened on the news since last night, this morning. What you reading on your news feed? Anything exciting and interesting? What are we missing? Can we keep track? Can we process all of this stuff that be going on in the world and make sense of it in a way that makes sense to who we are and what we know? Be you. Be fabulous. Be fabulous you. Peace.